Chapter 3, what are the Summer Olympics? The Olympics grow the early 1900s. The next two Olympics were held in Paris and in St. Louis, Missouri as part of the World's Fairs. World's Fairs show off new products and inventions from different countries. In St. Louis, for example, many people tried foods like cotton candy and peanut butter for the first time. So here we have cotton candy and peanut butter. But hardly anyone knew about the games. The Olympics, which included women now, were a failure. This is the 1904 World's Fair in St. Louis. Interesting fact. Women in the Olympics. Women first competed in 1900 in tennis and golf. American golfer Margaret Abbott was the first to win gold in an all-female contest, competing against her mother. By 2012, the first women's boxing contest, female athletes were competing in every sport. Now they make up about half of the competitors. Way to go, ladies. Way to go. Whoop, whoop. From here on, Olympic officials decided the games would stand alone. They would no longer be with the World's Fair. It was a wise move. After the London Games in 1908, Olympic buzz grew. And in 1912, at the Games in Stockholm, Sweden, an athlete from the United States became the first true Olympic star. So we learned that they tried new food in 1904. It was with the World's Fair, cotton candy and peanut butter and jelly. Women started participating, and they started in tennis and golf. Margaret Abbott competed and won the gold against her own mother. And in 1912 in Stockholm, Sweden, became the first Olympic star. Jim Thorpe, who is part Native American, was born in Oklahoma Territory in 1888. At 17, he was sent to school in Pennsylvania. Glenn "Pop" Warner, the football legend, was one of Jim Thorpe's coaches. At a track meet, someone asked Pop Warner where his team was. All he did, was point, how do you do it? There it is, to Thorpe. There he is. There's Thorpe. He was a wonder. So we have 1904, new foods, cotton candy and peanut butter and jelly. Women can now participate. They did tennis and golf. Margaret Abbott won the gold, and she competed against her own mom. 1912, Stockholm, Sweden, first Native American to join the Olympics, Jim Thorpe, was the first true Olympic athlete star. The star of the Olympics. At 6 feet tall and 190 pounds, 24-year-old Thorpe came to the Olympics to compete in the pentathlon. That was a 5-event contest, including the long jump, javelin, and discus throws, and 2 running races. People said that Thorpe barely practiced. It didn't matter. He won every event except the javelin. Then he went on to a 10-event contest called the decathon. He won that too. Wow, that is a really strong person. So we are going to just go to 1912, Stockholm, Sweden. Native American Jim Thorpe. He was the first Olympic star. He was born in 1888 in the Oklahoma Territory. He was the whole football team for Glenn "Pop" Warner. He's just an outstanding athlete. He participated in the pentathlon and the decathon, 5 events and 10 events. The King of Sweden congratulated Thorpe, saying, "Sir, you are the greatest athlete in the world." According to Thorpe, he answered, "Thanks, King." It's a great story, except for its sad ending. A year later, Thorpe's medals were taken away because he'd been paid for playing minor league baseball. It wasn't a lot of money. Still, getting paid at all made Thorpe a professional athlete, and only amateurs, unpaid athletes were allowed in the Olympics. Thorpe tried to explain. He wrote a letter to officials saying he didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know he was doing anything wrong, and he wasn't trying to hide anything. The officials didn't budge. But 30 years after Thorpe's 1953 death, the Olympic Committee had changed of heart. His medals were returned to his daughter in 1983, and his name was put back in the record book where it belonged. Okay, so now we're going to talk about Olympic medals. Today, first place winners receive gold medals. Second place gets silver. Third place get bronze. But while athletes received medals at the very first modern Olympics, the top two finishers were honored. They were given a silver and a bronze. There was no gold. This is new. This is now. So in the beginning, when the Olympics started again, there were no third place winners and no gold medals yet. And we just know from the information that we've read that in the very first Olympics, they got an olive branch that they wore on their head. So I put that in here just because we do know that information. So let's recap. 1904, the Olympics and the World Fair were held together, and people tried cotton candy and peanut butter for the first time. And then women were allowed to compete in the Olympics, and they started in tennis and golf. Margaret Abbott won the gold, and she competed against her mom. In 1912, in Stockholm, Sweden, the first Native American, Jim Thorpe, was the first Olympic star. He was born in 1888 in the Oklahoma Territory. When he was 17, he moved to Pennsylvania, where he met Glenn Pop Warner, and he was his football team of one, and he helped train him. And he participated in two events, the pentathlon and the decathon, and they said he didn't have to practice much because he was just that great of an athlete. Now we have gold, silver, and bronze, but was that the way it was when the Olympics got brought back? No, they didn't have a third place. They just had silver and bronze. And in the very beginning, they just had an olive branch. Thanks for learning with us, guys. Oh, and if you YouTube Jim Thorpe for Kids, there's so much great information and some great videos. It's really worth watching. He was awesome.